So we have context manager.py here now. So let's say we want to show an example of a code here now. Let's say we want to read a dangerous file. And let's say dev read. Okay, let me just give it a funny name right here now. Okay, let me just say, okay, read file, and this file is dangerous. All right. So I'm trying to open this file, and I'm trying to read this file. This file is dangerous. So one thing I should know that right here now, why I try to read this file. So just let's comment that if anything, so if any exception occur here now, the file will not be properly closed. Okay, I don't want to use this. I want to use this instead. So f is equals to open, and data is equals to f.read. Notice I am not closing this file here. Right? Yes. So notice I am closing this file right here before I now return the data itself. So one thing I should know is that if anything happens there, this file will not be closed automatically because the error will be occurred here. So this works most of the time, but using the read now, there is an exception that the file is corrected. Let's say the file is corrected or the disk is not able to locate the file. The file is going to stay open, and the backend application handling hundreds of requests. This is how you run into stuff that will end up crashing your software. So how are we going to do this? So a safe way to do this now is to use context manager. So I just go ahead and comment this now. In context manager now will be like, let me just comment this out here. Using a context manager, it's going to be like open with now. So now the file will automatically close every block of the code when every block of the code is executed. So using with now shows that we are using a context manager, right? So to now show that this works now, how can we prove that this works? So let's prove that this works here. So first let's create a file. So let's just say with open. I want to write hello world right here. So can we now read it now? Let's just say result now is equals to read save file example.txt. Then we want to print out results. So if I should go ahead and run this now, we are getting the results printed out, right? Quite alright. So that's show that it works right. Let's try and see if we can write our own context manager just the same exact way that it is written when we work with backend applications. Alright, can we do that? So let's clear this. So now, writing your own now, you can say from something like from context library now. We want to import context manager. Then you now see a decorator here called context manager, then dev. Here now, you will notice this very much if you have worked with FastAPI before. So here now we are printing out opening database. There, let's just say I want to set session right here. So I want to set the session status to status that is okay. For database, let's use connected. So this database now is connected now, right? So I want to try to yield session. It's an exception occur now while we are trying to use section. So let's say except error. As we want to print out an error has occurred. We want to raise. But finally, we want to close the DB session. So finally now this code will always run. This finally code will always run. So it's going to work in that way. So if I should run this now, okay, I need to print out some things first. So I can just say with DB session and session as DB. We want to print out the status now. So let's just print this out now. We can see opening the database session, using the database now, session, then we connected, and we have closing the database section. So it's always going to work like this now, even when an exception occurs. But how do we now prove this even when an exception occurs? What can we do? So we're going to try to create a value error now. Right. So let's just say something like this now. Print exception flow. Let's say with DB now, we now want to raise the value. Error that something went wrong. So I want to put this under try. So once I'm trying this right here now, and once the value error, we want to print out this is what was caught. So if I should run this now, you notice that something went wrong, and still it still close the file. Right, the file is still closed, the database section is still closed, even when an error occurred. Right, so what this does is that, look at the output now, opening using the enrolling backend now. It's closed. When an error is caught now, the session still closed. That block finally run, even though an error already occurred. So this is making sure that any file that is open is guaranteed that it's going to clean it up in production, either using Django or FastAPI, or FastAPI with SQL Academy. This is exactly how our database section worked. That every section is closed, even when an error occurred or the application crashes. So this is how context manager work. So the statement is set up before yield, then tear it down in finally. So clean up, which that clean up is guaranteed. Either there's an exception that occur or an exception didn't happen. So yeah, so that's good. Now in the next class now we are going to work with data classes.